Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I'm here with another take in the 6 degrees of scraplifting. So I am actually the first to go, and I'm going to create a layout based off of a paper issues challenge back from June of 2017, so June of this year, and it was one of their scrap soup challenges, and you had to use 5 circles, 4 pattern papers, 3 embellishments, 2 photos, and 1 title. And so you can kind of see I am moving my hands and everything. I was going to do this layout for something else, and while I was in the middle of creating it, we actually were talking about how it would be fun to do the 3rd degree of our our 6 degrees of scraplifting series. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I've got it. Let me go first. I'm making this really fun layout. So I was so excited to get started, and I am using some paper that I have put together for a stash kit from July, and if you've watched my channel, you would have seen me use up everything, and all of that's already shared with because it's now August. But I was, like I said, working on this in July, and it just happened to be that I got to go first this time, so I was like, I'm using this. So I've been saving this layout for months. A month and a half now I've been saving this layout to share with you guys. And so my goal here is to really highlight these 2 photos because they are really, really special photos of a blanket that my sister hand knitted for my daughter. And it was a surprise. She gave it to me the day that Nora was born, and I was so touched that she did something. And it's a pretty large blanket, so I know how long it took her, and it was so meaningful, and I really wanted to document this so that Nora always has a reminder of how much her auntie loves her. And so in order to highlight that, I wanted to take my photos and I backed it with some white paper so it will really pop off the page for whatever I plan to do. And now I'm not exactly sure what I want to do either. I just know what the scrap soup recipe was calling for. And so I'm working with all of that. And I did decide that I like the idea of the pop of this tealy green color with the pink. So I'm playing around and I'm like, okay, I like that. Now let's figure out what to do with the circles that I have punched out. I've punched out 6 and I know I only need to use 5. So I'm not exactly sure. I really don't know what my plan is yet. But I start by thinking maybe I should tuck them underneath my photo. I'm like, no, what if I spread them out in this white space? Maybe that would look kind of cool and be a fun element on my page. And while I do that, at the moment you can see I have all 6. So I'm just trying to decide which one I'm going to take away. And I'm kind of just playing around. I'm going to rotate them. And in the end, I'm going to take away one of the green because there's already that green color as that border at the top of the page. So I am loving this. So I went and I did some stitching to kind of get it all down, popped my photo up on some foam tape, and then decided that instead of using the pattern paper, I was going to use one of my embellishments from the 3 embellishments you're supposed to use, and take this Amy Tan piece of ephemera, and I believe it was from the Oh Happy Day or Oh Happy Life collection, and it says Great Story. Perfect match in color too. So the pattern paper in teal is from Maggie Holmes, and it matches the Amy Tan collection like spot on. So I love that. That's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and I love it. I did stitch the pink circles and not the gray ones because in my mind I'm going to put my journaling there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that. So that's, if you're wondering why there's only stitching on those 2 circles, that's why, and you will see where I do that in a second as well. But now I'm going to work with my title. And I am still, or I was, still in the middle of using up some old alphas that I have challenged myself to use up while I was in the middle of a spending freeze. And so you can see that I've had to kind of fiddle with some and kind of make some letters out of numbers, and I actually really love this. So I used 3s for E's and the number 7 for the L, and I really, really love the way that it looks. I think it's really neat. And I am trying to figure out the best way to place my title, and I'm having issues. So I went off camera, and I'm going to just kind of think about it for a minute and decide how I really want it to work. The problem is the word width is so, it's long and skinny, kind of like the alpha is, and I didn't know what to do. So when I went off camera, I put them on a vertical, and I loved the way that looked. So I went and glued that down, and that is how my title is going to be. For my second embellishment piece, I am using this wood veneer that says happy. And I wanted it to have that bit of a teal tone so that I had teal in multiple areas. And so I just went off and I sprayed it with my shimmers. I believe it's a Vibes, and it's called Oh Say Can You See. It's my all-time favorite shimmers product. I love it. It's just so pretty. And so that's what I'm using to highlight that. And then while I was letting that dry, I thought of a few different ways to add my third embellishment. Now my third embellishment is going to be circular brads or circular elements and buttons. So I added one to the O in Great Story. I'm going to add 3 little buttons. 2 of them are buttons. One's just a little like brad type thing down at the bottom on that pink circle. And then I also add a brad on the O in teal. Now, I have to let you know that at the end, when you see my close-ups, you're going to see that it changes a little bit because I changed my idea for the top pink circle and I ended up having a leftover embellishment that I didn't want to have left over. So when all was said and done, I ended up going back and adding that to where I put a brad in the O in my title instead. So you'll see that in the close-ups though. And then what I decided to do next was, I was liking it, but I thought it needed just a little help in having my elements kind of pop off the page a little bit. So I'm just taking my black Sharpie and tracing around all of the circles, and then the big square, or excuse me, rectangular box that I created as well. I really love this. It definitely added that little added dimension that I was going for and hoping to create with that. And the best part of all is I did not mess up with my tracing. I always do that. I go to trace something and somewhere I mess it up. So I was really happy that that didn't happen this time. You can see that I did end up adding my journaling to the gray circles. And it's just talking about like what I mentioned about how my sister made this blanket for Nora, and how I hope she always cherishes it because it's just such a special gift. And that's there. There you can see I added the teal brad. I'm digging that. And then for just a little bit more emphasis on my journaling, I took this really pretty wreath. This is from the Gather Collection sticker sheet. And I'm going to tear it in half and put a little piece of it on each of the gray circles to kind of help highlight it. And it's just that little pop of something that brings your eye to the journaling so you see it, but it's soft enough that it kind of keeps the flow of what I'm trying to represent within this layout. So I'm just going to look on the sticker sheet to see if there's anything else I can add. I do find a sticker that says today is a gift, and it was kind of more to represent the fact that this blanket was a gift, and I'm just going to put that in the bottom right hand corner of my photo there. I like that, and it's the same color as the alpha in my title, so that worked really well as well. And now you can see I'm gonna add this little bow here. My original idea, is I'm gonna put the bow on this pink circle at the top, stick a brad through it, and call it done. But what ends up happening, and you'll see in a couple minutes, is I find the other bow within the collection that has black tracing around it, which kind of helped tie in the fact that I used my Sharpie to trace around all of my elements. And so I end up replacing this little element with that sticker instead, which is right there. And so I have this now random sticker with a brad in it, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I don't really want to wait and use it on another layout. So I ended up replacing the green brad that I put in the O of the word love, and I just put that little second bow with the brad there, and I love it. It's really cute. So when you see my close-ups, you'll see that. And then one of my final touches here is I'm adding this frame, and this was a little tricky. Let me tell you, I probably should have done this part first, but I'm trimming off the little bit so I can slide it in. And I had put a sticker so that the wood veneer that says happy kind of popped a little bit and you could read it easily. So while I'm pulling out the sticker, it's having a really hard time pulling up because my photos I print them in matte, and once you stick something down, it's pretty stuck down. It's really, really hard to pick something up without ripping it or tearing it. I managed to do it. It's a little wrinkled, but I managed to do it. But it was tricky, very tricky. But I was determined to get this frame on it, and I really like it. I think it was definitely the right choice and the right finishing touch. And I'm going to go through and just see if there's anything else. And my final little bit here is I want there to be a floral element of some kind. I'm still pretty new to Scrapping Girl layouts, and so I needed a floral. And what I ended up doing is going through I have all of my florals in this little pouch thing, and I'm going through looking for it. And I end up grabbing the florals that came from one of Paige Evans' lines, and I'm going to just place them in 2 different spots, but then in the close-ups you'll see it's actually ends up in 3. And that is going to do it for this layout. So be sure to go check Susanna's take on my layout tomorrow, and I hope you enjoy this series. We have been having so much fun, and I'm sure we will have take 4 coming up soon for you.